Main trans engine. Number 1, 2 on. Number 3, 4 off. Number 5, 6, 7, 8 on. Hello, I am Vifam. Permission to sortie. Wipe away all your tears. Together we will conquer fear. Come and give us a hand in search of a new land. I wonder where you are, my friend. Tell us what is left in the end. Give us your courage. Fight on. Your image. Fight on. United we must fight. Fight on. Uncertain of our might. Fight on.
Hello and welcome back to another Plomo review. Today we're taking a look at the High Grade Vifam. As always, let's start off with the articulation. The head is on a ball joint for a ton of range. Pretty much completely unimpeded. There's also a front hinge at the front of the bottom of the neck, like right here. So you get that little bit more forward if you really need it. Shoulders are on a front hinge, or about that far, as well as a ball joint, so you can get them across the chest easily. You can get 90 degrees out to the side, but the shoulder armor does sort of fight against you a little bit for that. Also, you can actually adjust these shoulder verniers separately, which is neat. There is, as always, a rotation at the bicep. Then the elbow is interesting, because it's a bend here for about 45 degrees, then a second bend here, and you can also rotate at this point and pull that out for a ball joint to get a full bend. And you can also get most of that bend while rotating it too. This thing has a stupidly well articulated elbow. You can pull off literally any shot from the show with this arm. It's insane. I will say the hinges out to the front are a little bit loose. Not that they won't hold their shape or anything, just could be a little bit tighter. Now there's a backward facing ball joint in the torso that's on a hinge. Don't entirely know why, since you can't really get that much of a bend forward or back with it. Can get a nice little side to side. Considering what's in this core block here, that's really impressive articulation. There's also a ball joint in the waist. It's very far set to the back, as you can probably tell, though that does mean you can hinge it super far back to get at the hatch here, which we'll talk about a bit later. It has the same hips as Getter Arc, which is weird. They are ball jointed, but though, I mean, given the way the thigh is, I can't really expect something better than that, but they can hinge down individually of one another. And there's actually a hinge for the socket itself, so you can get a little bit more out. Basically, you can get slightly over 45 degrees out to the side, which is nice. No thigh swivel, I mean, yeah, obviously, look at this thing. But that's still a pretty good splay, so I'm not really going to complain about that. The knee joint has the upper bend here as well as the lower bend for a full bend, and thankfully, because Okawara is a great designer, the knee actually looks really good when it's bent. All three of the verniers on the legs are ball jointed, including this one in here, which is actually kind of hard to move around just because it's so deep set in there. And the foot is on a forward back rock in the actual leg, which can go really far back and all the way up. And not a crazy bend out to the side, but it's more than enough for a splayed pose. So I mean, it does the job. So overall, the articulation on this is amazing. It works with the design to give as much range to the joints as possible. Now, getting into accessories, let's start off as always with the sticker sheet, or sheets in this case, and by extension color correction. We're not going to be here very long. As you can probably tell, there's not a lot going on here. This, the one that I did use, is literally just foil in behind the visor to make it pop really, really pretty. Very, very easy to put on. You literally just fit the little slot over the nose piece and fold it to either side, and it works perfectly. The other one on here is the cockpit on the escape hatch. I want to talk about these before we pop it open. It does actually give you all of the numbers, and this is plastic stickers like they did for the one on the Dragonar's shield, meaning you don't have to worry about these being damaged, because it's basically a part that's attached with adhesive. I am not worried at all about this being damaged at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is the same, like, almost identical to the one that the Damashi uses. There is a tiny, tiny bit, I mean, obviously you're going to want to panel line the hell out of this thing because it looks beautiful with it, but you do have to paint the yellow in the triangles on the arms. The yellow in the knees is actually color separated, you don't have to worry about that, but these ones, which are inset, do need to be painted, though, I mean, that's nothing, right? Aside from that, there's a little bit of paint on the rifle, but we'll get to that in a second. Big thing is popping this open. Top piece slides out on a little arm. Bottom piece slide out a little bit too. There we go. This part of the backpack folds up, which is great. I'm gonna warn you that since I painted this, the little track on the top here, where the top part of the escape pod goes through, you're going to want to sand that down a little bit on the sides and the top just to make that little bit extra room for the paint, because it's tight. I had to pull the torso part after I test fit it just because of how ridiculously tight that was. Anyway, yeah, you can pop it out. And most of the paint goes into the escape pod, and oh, I'm so happy it has this gimmick. I mean, it's easy to do, it's just a hole through the chest, but the fact that it works exactly like the show on a high grade is just... oh, thank you. Thank you, Bandai, you nailed it. This is 4 parts. The thrusters are color correct, the sides are white, you do have to paint the little bottom thrusters gray, and then the rest of it is all just one yellow piece. So, all that red around the back, going around, up on the bottom, up around to the side of this, that's all paint. The black in the front here, and I did silver for the lights, or I think those are lights. It's been a little while since I watched Vifam, but yeah, I just did silver on those, gray for the little, is that a gun? I don't remember. The top camera light, again, I don't remember what that is, but I painted that a nice light blue with a slight metallic sheen, and it looks beautiful. And the white trim and the sort of dark teal turquoisey color for the cockpit there. Yeah, that's all paint. There's also supposed to be little black lines on the little insets on either side of this, but that's a little small. Also, this is going to be inside this most of the time, so that small of a detail, who really cares? They did actually paint it on the model, though, which was nice. The promotional one, I mean. But yeah, this thing is smaller than the head. It's so tiny. I'm so glad it has this. I almost wanted to display it separately like this, honestly, but I kind of would prefer to have it up on an action base, which I'll be doing after this. Now, aside from the beautiful little escape pod, you do actually get other accessories. First one I want to get out of the way real quick. There is a stand adapter for some reason. This is a 3mm peg, so I don't really know why they even bothered. There's a little flap right here you pop off, and then you can stick an action base directly in if you want. I mean, I'll use this because I'm kind of worried if I don't it'll break something, but this really looks 3mm to me, so I don't really understand why they included this. But aside from that, you do get the rifle, and this is the other paint I was talking about, the white on it, the 2 buttons on the side, and also the white trim around this. Not the hardest thing in the world to paint. It's still a little tiny bit patchy on mine, but it's symmetrical enough that I'm just going to ignore it. no real reason to ever remove this hand since it doesn't hold anything else with it, and you can't store the rifle anywhere, so it's gonna just leave it on. This handle is actually ball jointed on, which is great. It means you can pretty much pose it however you want. Front barrel is a separate piece, and I might want to glue it or something because it's starting to get a little bit wobbly on me. You do get a left holding hand, which can be also used to hold the secondary handle on the rifle, but I have it on the Janus shield. This is just... thank you for including this. If you haven't watched Vifam, and you're a fan of my channel or just happened across this review, please go watch it. Please watch Vifam. It is a 10 out of 10 series. It is my second favorite mecha series. My favorite being Panzerworld Gallant, and I consider that like a 9 out of 10. I consider Vifam technically better, but I enjoy Gallant more because night mechs. I cannot sing this series high enough praises. This shield is kind of spoilers, but it comes from the hull of their ship, and not only is it like exactly perfect on both sides, it has rivets on this side. It has the I don't know if it wants to actually pick it up. Come on, focus. Yeah, it actually has detailing between the plate of the hull. There's actual detailing there to show that it's part of the hull of the ship. It's so nice. It's a little bit hollowed out, but hey, it's close enough. It doesn't matter. The fact that they included this shows that the designers or designer for this kit cared. Because they could have just released the Vifam with the twin mover and just been fine with it. But no, they included this because it's important. However, speaking of the twin mover, or sling pannier, as they want to call it, I swear this thing was called the twin mover at some point, but apparently I'm having a Mandela effect right now. I will say the number marks on this isn't great. The seams are a little bit, tiny bit janky on this one. The light blue anyway is not the prettiest, but it's fine, honestly. To put this on, you remove the space flight pack, put this one where it was. Come on. Jump cut. Put the pod back in. Put it on there. This just tabs into these little slots on the side of the chest, and these hoses just plug into the slots on the top up here. Doesn't really want to line up perfectly for some reason, but you just get it on. It slots in fine once you actually get it in place. Adds a couple little red vents there, which is nice. And adds the full wing pack. These bottom bits down here, those are pegs to let it move. Top ones are actually ball jointed, which is really nice. And the wings themselves are actually on a hinge here that lets it go all the way out where it's supposed to be. And that does remind me, the little tiny verniers here, I did paint black in there, but I mean, you could just do that with a Gundam marker, it wouldn't really make a difference. Yeah, this is how I'm going to be displaying my Vifam. Touched down, end of series with the shield. Also, I know it's P-Banda, but I do want to point out just real quick, I'm very happy they gave us alternate hands. Just the closed fists are a nice touch. You don't really see Vifam with open hands, but the closed fists, yeah. And as for a quick size comparison, Vifam's actually kinda short. It's around the same height as a Zaku 2, though it's like twice as thick. It's really chunky. So, to wrap this review up, I'm so happy I have this. I missed out on getting it because it's P-Bandai, and my friend sent it to me for free. If you haven't seen the last Gunpla haul, yeah, I can't thank him enough for that. This High Grade means so much to me. Not just because of that, but because Vifam means so much to me. And Bandai did a really good job with this. The only thing I would change is a couple of nub marks could probably be a little bit better. But this is pretty much perfect. If you're a fan of Vifam, I would hope you got this. And if you're looking to get it, I'm gonna be honest, don't spend too much on it, but it is a very nice kit. It's worth getting, especially when the Mashi is so expensive nowadays. And if you're not a fan of Vifam, go watch it. It's something special. Fully recommend this kit. Fully recommend the show. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.